Hi guys, Michael here and welcome to another My Opinions video. Although this one is about something that I've kind of been emotional about for a while now. I've been invested in for a few years and it's only been recently that I've really spoke up. My chair's going to squeak, I'm sorry. It's only been last few months I've really kind of been a lot more emotional about the subject, and that is Telltale Games. See, today news came out that Telltale Games is closing, and there was a statement given out that said this: "Today, Telltale Games made the difficult decision to begin a majority studio closure following a year marked by insurmountable challenges. A majority of the company's employees were dismissed earlier this morning, with a small group of 25 employees staying on to fulfill the company's obligations to its board and partners." CEO Peter Hawley issued the following statement: "It's been an incredibly difficult year for Telltale as we work to set the company on a new course. Unfortunately, we ran out of time trying to get there. We released some of our best content this year and received a tremendous amount of positive feedback. But ultimately, that did not translate to sales. With a heavy heart, we watch our friends leave today to spread our brand of storytelling across the games industry. Telltale will issue further comments regarding its product portfolio in the coming weeks." So what's this mean exactly? Well, what it means is that around 250 jobs at Telltale have been lost, and they're keeping on a skeleton staff of 25 just to kind of finish off, I would say projects, but it's more a project, which I'll explain in a minute. First, I want to talk about those that got laid off. It's really, really sad when anybody gets laid off, but to this extent, it's a lot of people and a lot of talented people. You know, a lot of these were there early in Walking Dead, most of them probably there in early Walking Dead series when first season came out, and everybody went mad on Walking Dead. You know, and to lose their job like that, it's hard, you know. But thankfully, there has been a bit of a silver lining at least, in that a lot of developers have actually reached out to the people who lost their jobs. Developers like Blizzard, Twitch, Paradox, Epic, Naughty Dog, Ubisoft. You know, there's been a lot of development companies reach out to them and offer them jobs and say, you know, put your name down in career section. You know, we want you. You know, we know you've got talent. We've seen what you've done. We've played some of the stuff that you've played. You know, we're thankful and grateful that you've made this thing because we've enjoyed it too. So, you know, we've got you back. And it's beautiful to see that, you know, when something bad like this happens, that, you know, these other companies step forward and say, hey, you know, we're here for you. You know, this is what we do. You know, so I hope most of them, in fact, I hope all of them find a new home, and I hope it's better than what it was, even at Telltale, because From what I read, Telltale were even hiring people up to like 2 or 3 weeks before this happened, and they must have known. The big ups must have known. Maybe not the developers and that, but the bosses must have known that it was coming down to this. You don't find out a couple of weeks before the end, and it's a mass shock. This is something that's obviously been built coming to a point for a little bit, and they were hiring people up to 2 or 3 weeks before this announcement. That's terrible. We got a tweet from one of the people laid off, Brandon, who said, "I got laid off at Telltale. None of my sleepless nights or long hours on weekends trying to ship a game on time got me severance today. Don't work overtime unless you're paid for it, you all. Protect your health. Companies don't care about you." So Brandon basically just got laid off. I mean, they weren't even a severance for him, a severance pay. Just basically got done. That's it. Bye. Thanks for all you've done. Handshake, pat on back, see you. And that's it. Done. Which, of course, is a terrible way to do things. You can imagine how many people just got basically that kind of way of being laid off. Just look, sorry, thanks, pat on back, see you, bye. It's awful to go that way. I mean, Telltale have really handled this bad. Handled it terribly, in fact. But a lot of people are going to be wondering, mainly, what happens to the final season of Walking Dead. A lot of people, including me, played the first season and got to that last part with Lee dying and actually cried, and it brought tears to my eyes. And I've got a swinging brick for a heart. You know what I mean? But if you ever watch my final episode on that season, even my voice cracks. You know, I'm barely keeping. I mean, I had tears. I had tears running down my cheeks, but I was keeping my voice as level as I could. You know, but other people literally burst into tears, including famously that PewDiePie clip where he just broke. You know what I mean? Everybody did. It were a complete thing that many did. It were a special experience to find a game that could affect so many people the same way. Because it is rare. It is rare to find something. I mean, you might find something where somebody gets emotional involved and gets tears in their eyes. But that doesn't always transfer over to other people who feel differently. This broke many people when this happened. And, many have followed it. So what happens to that? Well, from what we can make out, it looks like it's been cancelled. Because what's happening is that the second episode of the final season is supposed to be coming out in about a week's time or around that. In fact, it might only be a few days now. It was meant to be coming out, but episodes 3 and 4, because it was meant to be 4 episodes altogether. Episodes 3 and 4 haven't even been announced yet. And if we look a bit further into what was said, let's take a tweet from Matt Kim, who said, new update on Telltale and possibly the last for today. In light of the statement from Telltale and Pete Hawley, the Walking Dead final season has also been cancelled. The skeleton crew remained at Telltale is working on Minecraft story mode for Netflix. Now, this is not confirmed. This is just what kind of somebody said that they've heard. This is what Matt Kim has definitely confirmed it. He's saying what he heard on this. And but what makes it look like this true is that Netflix has actually made a statement saying that the Minecraft story series has not been affected by this closure, which would make it sound like that the 25 skeleton staff that's left is indeed there just to finish that story off. Because you've got to realise, to finish off Walking Dead, the 2 final episodes, it's going to be a lot of work for 25 people to do, and it's going to take quite a while to get it out, especially since Telltale reached so far and took on so many projects that it's going to be almost impossible for a small skeleton crew to finish it or bring it out anytime soon, even if they do stay. And I can't see 25 people keeping the company going. The company's closing. So obviously they're going to be winding down their projects, and doing 2 more episodes is going to obviously make it so that'll extend the need for people there for a while longer, and I can't see them doing that. I think they're going to want to get it closed down. So now they've started. So as far as I can see, it doesn't look like we are going to get any closure on that. Of course, I do have feelings about this because I've been very vocal in the past, recent months especially, about Telltale, and I've been very critical on them, very critical. And I can't, as much as I am sad that it's closing, and I'm sad that people won't get an end to Walking Dead, because even though I never finished it, even though I stopped playing it because I kind of turned against Telltale, awful to say, but I'm just saying, but even though I probably wouldn't have finished the game, I still have a soft spot for that game. And I think it's sad that a lot of people who do still love it won't get the closure that they deserve, who invested a lot of time into it. That was basically, but the problem is, right, and here's where I'm going to talk about the problems I see with Telltale, and why. I'm not going to say why I think it's closed, but from my personal opinion, why I think it's closed. I'm not going to give you a statement and say this is why it's happened, but this is my personal feeling. For one, when The Walking Dead first started, I, like many others, saw the intro where it said that the choices you make will shape your path through the game. And it excited people, because it was like, wow, so if I my ending could be different to everybody else's ending or to most other endings, and I could keep somebody alive and somebody gone killed and all this. And it got to a point where you'd start the game and something you did would get you an action or a reaction that you didn't like. You'd start that again. You'd start all over again because you'd be thinking, well, I don't want like Clementine to hate me, so I'll start all over again. There were people that actually did restart the whole game because they made a decision that they thought, oh, Clementine might hate me, or somebody they like's going to die, or does die, so they start again to try and save them. And nobody realised that all the time Telltale was lying, because it didn't change. Everybody got the same ending. Everybody got Lee die. People would start to get me like, oh, Lee got bit. Let me try and make sure this doesn't happen. Because, of course, there's that part where the hat's laid on the floor or the walkie-talkie kind of thing, or you can check the boards. And it's like people would restart that section and try and go back in and restart and, and try and check something else in a different order, etc. And they'd always get bit. And then you had choice, remove the arm or don't remove the arm. So some would say like, well, of course I'm going to remove the arm because it then, taking the infected limb off, he'll survive. But yet he always died at the same part. It didn't matter whether you removed the arm or not. It didn't matter whether whether you picked up the walkie-talkie, checked the boards. It didn't matter what you did. It always ended up the same way. Lee dead and Clementine on her own. And it was, but people still kind of brushed over it. They accepted it because it was such a damn good story. And then they came out with like Wolf Among Us, where people just went mad on Wolf Among Us, of course, because it was so unique. It was fairy tale characters telling a story. And again, the story was amazing. I am such a fan of the Wolf Among Us. I could go on hours about why that game is so good. It was Walking Dead Season 1 that started my love for Telltale. It was Wolf Among Us that concreted it in place as much as it could be. It was so incredible a game, so unique, so beautiful, and it was told so well. And again, your choices didn't matter. You always ended up at the same place, but you enjoyed the story. It was so good. It was so good. So, you still played it and still loved it. Then Walking Dead Season 2 came out. That was still enjoyable. It was still a good story. And I enjoyed that too. And then Tales from the Borderlands. Well, I did a full series on Tales from the Borderlands as well. It was funny. It was hilarious, not just funny. And it was, again, so well told. The game was so good. And Telltale was delivering hit after hit after hit. It just was amazing to see them, what they were doing. Then it started to change. Telltale decided to start taking on more and more projects, branching out, instead of sticking with those things that really were tried and tested and working. For example, everybody loved Walking Dead, everybody loved The Wolf Among Us, and people, and as far as I know, Tales from the Borderlands got really good reviews too. So they could have easily just concentrated on bringing a season 2 to Wolf Among Us, where they had to solve a different crime by a different bad guy or whatever. But this could have been a series that kept going, and then you had then you could have always brought another Tales from the Borderlands out maybe, or if you couldn't, at least it was something maybe a spin-off or whatever. But you could milk it. It was big. You had successes that were big. It's so fucking annoying that it all fell away. I hated the fact that Telltale destroyed that for me, because I had these games and I fanboyed over Telltale. They were my fucking go. They were amazing. I would have punched anyone in the face who had a go at Telltale. I would have protected them through everything. Honestly, I can't tell you enough how much I love that company. Then they brought out Game of Thrones. You see, it's like anything. When something doesn't shine as bright, you start to see the cracks. The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands were brightly shining games. You couldn't see the cracks, or it helped you ignore them because it shone so bright. Game of Thrones didn't. Game of Thrones didn't shine. Game of Thrones was bad. The story was bad. And suddenly, the cracks started to show. It mattered suddenly that your choices didn't make a difference. And we know it can be done. Look at Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human actually showed it is possible to have multiple endings, to make it so you make a choice, it matters. You do something and get somebody killed, and you do replay it, you can save them. If something happened to you that would fundamentally affect the ending, you could change it. Whereas with Walking Dead and all the rest, you couldn't change it. With the Telltale games, you couldn't change it. The end was done. It was set in stone. It never was with things like Detroit Become Human. So it was proven it could be done. So the lie they told didn't have to be a lie. But it was. And when a game didn't shine bright enough to hide the cracks, suddenly it mattered. And people like me started to say, this is stupid. This is stupid because it doesn't matter what I do. Why should I care? Because the ending is set. I can't change the ending. It's pathetic. If I can't change the ending, then why do I care? And it was true. I actually stopped playing. I actually started to do the Game of Thrones series, and I tried to put as much into it as I could to enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy it. It was a bad game, and so I stopped. I stopped playing it, and then when I did watch videos and looked at the ending, it was even more pathetic. And it was like I was so glad that I stopped playing it, because I would have really, really hated the ending of it. So, and then Batman came out, and I didn't enjoy that. I started playing that, never finished it. It was just problematic. Even like Walking Dead Mission, that I started playing that. I couldn't finish it, and this is Walking Dead. It was half-assed. There was nothing. There was no emotional depth to it. It was just bland. It was just meh. There was nothing to it. It was like Telltale had lost its way completely. It's like Walking Dead and all that. Now, there had been games before Walking Dead, of course, that Telltale did. I've got a couple of them. But none of them really took off. Walking Dead did. And then Telltale just ran with it and hit Walking Dead 1 were hit. Walking Dead 2 were hit. Wolf Among Us hit. Tales from the Borderlands, as far as I know, were hit. Then it was like they just lost it. They just started to take on project after project after project after project. And it just started to seem like they were overreaching, overextending. And when you overextend, you're bound to fall eventually because you're reaching too much. And they have. They've reached too much, and now they've fell. And it's been a very hard crash. And it didn't turn into sales. Why? Because you kept lying to people. Instead of saying your choices will impact the game and the ending and things like that, and then sticking to it and making a game that truly did do that, like Detroit Become Human did, you didn't. You told everybody, the ending can be affected, blah, 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 but it didn't. Because the ending was set in stone, it was already done, you'd planned it, the story was told, but you just made everybody stick to it. Yeah, you let people get there in a different way, you let people take different paths to get there, but the story was always told. Again, if you go back to Detroit Become Human, you could run that game many different ways. You could be peaceful, you could be very violent, you could let one character shine more than another, or another character shine more than another. You could make it so one character died and another one didn't. You had so many ways you could take that game. And with Telltale, it was like the ending was set. That's tough. If you don't like the ending, we don't give a shit. We've decided this is what you've got to have as your ending. And that suddenly started to weigh. And then all the overreaching they did just made it impossible. So, of course, people stopped feeling emotionally invested. People bought the early Walking Dead games and that because they made you emotionally invested. Then that stopped. As they moved on through things like Game of Thrones, Batman, and things like that, it stopped and it became less emotionally invested. And once that happened, then people just didn't want the game anymore. And that's what happened to me. Once Game of Thrones hit, it started to... I didn't think anything could shake my love of Telltale games. But once Game of Thrones hit, and I really started to feel just the disappointment in it as I was playing it, it started to shake the foundation a bit. just tell this Game of Thrones, Michonne, Batman, all this, and they just kept bringing things out, and it was just like I tried to stick with it, but in the end I couldn't, and it just all fell apart for me, and then to be honest with you, and I'm gonna say, and I know some of you might roll your eyes if you hear this, but and then when they killed Kenny in Walking Dead, I think it was in Walking Dead season 3, so calmly, just like I saw him through a window, fuck it, when I invested myself so heavily into making sure you were there for me in the next season, and I was so happy to have him, and they just threw him through a fucking window and killed him. That were it. It was like, well, I can't stop it because Telltale don't let you stop it. No matter what you do, you can't stop it because Telltale. That's how Telltale do it. They won't let you change anything, and that really ended Telltale for me that day. And from then on, I was done. And Telltale fell away for me. But saying all that, that doesn't mean that I wanted this to happen. Of course I didn't. And I'm really sorry for around the 250 people that have lost their jobs through this. And I truly hope you find a happy home for as a new job very soon. And but for now, that's it. That's my opinion. Telltale's gonna end. It don't look like they're gonna end the season, the final season of Walking Dead. Which, even though I don't really care about Telltale now, it's still a huge shame, and I'm sorry for those that have already bought it and things like that, who have invested in it and want it, and they aren't going to get it. Who it still matters to. I'm sorry you're not going to get that anymore. Hopefully, something may happen. You never know. Something may happen and pick it up somehow. I don't know, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, guys. Anyway, thanks for listening, and if you agree or disagree, please feel free to type in the comments, of course, and I'll be back soon. You take really good care, and goodbye for now.